Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Freeman, CEO, founder of KMF Enterprises. Today's series is a very dear friend and special guest. I've known him for over a decade now. I can't believe how time flies. My good friend, Javed Khan, Senior Marketing Professional Advisor. Hi, Javed. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Kim. How are you?
Thanks so much for being on. I'm doing great. It's really good timing to have you on. We'll get to that, of course. So for the viewers, Javed is a highly rated international speaker with a vast audience of probably 10,000 plus individuals, spanning hundreds of diverse organizations. So needless to say, he's not camera shy. Featured contributor on Canadian Mortgage Trends website, providing expert insights on various marketing related topics. You can watch out for his articles. I think what's the frequency of your articles, Javed?
Usually 2 to 3 weeks on average.
That's awesome. Great.
Yep.
I always tell people to subscribe and stay up to date on industry news with the proper subscriptions. You don't want to find out your news on Facebook, right?
Right.
Proven track record of elevating company marketing brand programs. What's your brand? What's your brand? Resulting in enhanced sales and corporate image. It's so important, that piece, right? So your brand is what people say when you're not in the room, but then how are you portraying your brand is also another big piece of that. Recognized for a wide range of expertise, one of them in email marketing, including proficiency in Canada's anti-spam legislation. So the CASL Compliance, which I think, if I do recall, this year is the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, it's coming up 2024. So yes, coming up 10 years and opportune time to have a conversation around that.
Okay, so I always believe now with post-COVID, okay, so everyone was out doing things. Now all of a sudden, COVID forces some actions, stay home. Everything's digital. People are going more digital. Everyone says, the email campaigns has such a great reach, and it does have a great reach as long as it's done properly. All of a sudden, you got the generations who love text messaging. Okay, you got people who are on social media, which can be another set of rules. So I feel like I know in the back of my mind how important it is. And I think people think that they're invisible sometimes. And what a great time to bring awareness to it, because all you need is one bad apple to complain, get a complaint in, and then all of a sudden a corporation could be sued, what, millions of dollars?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go back to some of your statements because very powerful people need to understand you are your brand. You're representing yourself, and we call that personal brand, or you're
Mhm.
representing the organization. That's called brand equity. And you're absolutely right. You don't want to be that person or that organization who is doing email marketing, for instance, in a way that has a negative brand equity on you as an individual and your organization. So the Canada anti-spam legislation is an opportune time, Kim, as you've suggested, for us to revisit. We forgot about it. It was a big hype back in 2013 because it was being launched in 2014. Big hype. A lot of people wanting people to come and talk to them about CASL, this person included, and then it kind of just died out. And with digital marketing becoming a really stronger element of your portfolio of what you are trying to execute, the particular insights about the Canada anti-spam legislation is vitally important right now because it's going to be celebrating, 10 years in 2024. And we need to know and get refreshed right now. And I appreciate, Kim, you having this conversation with your viewers to really go back and revisit what we're going to be talking about in terms of the anti-spam legislation.
You think too, in our industry, mortgage brokers and agents make up about 13,500 plus in our industry, in the mortgage industry. And how are they going
Wow.
to have the reach, and how are they going to stay top of mind if they're not online? Okay,
Right.
whether it be the social media piece and whether it be email marketing. I know you did some stuff with the bomb emails where there's video.
Yes.
It attracts different sensories. You get to see, you get to hear, interact. So can you speak to the CASL and why it's so important, and some tips? Let's just go to tips as to why people should be reaching out, and to you especially, you're the guru of this, and brushing up on these skills because it's not a joke.
No, absolutely not. I think, so let's talk about some very high level tips. And I'm always a person of the power of three. So first of all, get yourself a software provider, an email software provider that is built to do one to many email communications, not necessarily one to one, but one to many. And I say one to many tends to be anywhere between, 10 to 15 and more who are your recipients. So Number one, find yourself an email service provider, a software organization, and there's many, many out there that you need to attach yourself when it comes to your email marketing. This idea of BCCing in your Gmail or your Outlook and sending it to hundreds and hundreds is not at all of any value for many, many reasons. We can talk about that. So that's number one. Number two, make sure that you are getting people's consent. There's two types of consent that we have to refresh ourselves. There's the express consent, and then there's the implied consent. And both pieces have their own particular rules and regulations in terms of how to do that. And the third piece, the most important piece, is the communication of your messaging, and make sure that within the Canada Anti-Spam legislation, it has certain elements in there. So things like the unsubscribe link or the unsubscribe button, make sure that it is communicated in a way that is being put into people's inboxes that they've asked for it. So it goes back to that consent. So make sure that you have an opportunity. Third point is to allow people to unsubscribe, allow people to leave your email communication. So if you want to mitigate that and you want to really minimize that, you got to really find opportune ways to have an email marketing program that is going to be effective, it's going to be welcomed, and most importantly, it's going to be very less frequency in terms of not getting them every day, every hour. So those are some three key things you may want to consider to start with the conversation.
Let's go to step one there, tip number one. So when you're saying email provider, right? Can this be something where the broker has, they have their database of clients and referral partners, and this will also, rather than just be an email tool, also be a CRM for them?
Yeah, absolutely. You can, if you want to try to get two things in one, you could really treat it as a quasi CRM system. Because you can, in many email service provider software pieces, you have the ability to set up automated messaging. So if someone comes into your email and they sign up to your email list, you can set it up that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, or maybe 2 to 3 months, if you wish, you can have automated messaging going into their inboxes. And the cool thing about having a software system is, this is as the marketer speaking, you can then look at the data. You can see how many people are clicking on to whatever link you are asking them to click on. You can see how many people are watching your video. You can see how many people are actually reading and how long they're reading your communication for. So there's some data management that will help you on the back end to say, hey, we just sent out text-based email communication in the month of X. Now let's try video with the same thing and see what kind of data results we get. And you realize, wow, it really goes up when we incorporate video messaging into this. That's a great tool for you to then say, well, sounds like my audiences are resonating with the 10 to 15-second video messages that I'm putting into my communications. And that's why I always say it's much more stronger to do that with a software provider versus a blind copy, hundreds of people in your Outlook or Gmail, because you don't know where the
you don't have the data.
You don't have the data.
You don't have the results. Yeah,
No.
totally makes sense.
No.
Going on to step two, I would think the express consent, which most people, hopefully they understand that phrase, is, one time it's good forever. That's probably the goal, very black and white methods to achieve that without giving it all away. But, the gray area is really that implied consent. So where is the bare minimum example, I guess, of implied consent? Is it, I met you like in line at a fast food place, or where does that begin?
Yeah. So, for instance, if I join up as a member of a particular organization, and you start to communicate to the organization with messaging, one of those messaging happens to be something to do with some promotional stuff. The implied consent really means that, yes, you're sending me communications, but I really haven't, as you say, black and white, I really haven't said to you that, yeah, you can add me to your email list. I'm giving you 2 years, and that's the key number there. I'm giving you 2 years of implied consent of allowing to send communications to me until you have to remove me from your list. So if within the 2 years, I don't give you that express consent, or within that 2 years, you don't send a note saying, hey, in order to continue our communication with you, please join our email community and click on here and provide us some data. Within those 2 years, you don't do that, by that 2-year anniversary, you have to remove that person from your email list. So, as you alluded, it's very onerous. Like, you've got to
Mhm.
track all of these data points, ensuring that you have that 2-year commitment, and you're ensuring compliance within 2 years. So forget about that. Why not just go 100% to Express? Because, as you said, Kim,
Yeah.
it's forever. And the only time they leave the express consent is when they unsubscribe themselves from the
Opt
list.
out.
So
Yeah.
I always say, forget about the implied, go 100% to express. Always, always, always be asking for that individual to be added to your email community. And the way to make sure that they do not leave your email community is provide them with valued content information, provide them with insights, provide them with stuff that I perhaps cannot necessarily do or may not be able to do because of my time to go and Google. So I'll give you a great example in the mortgage
Okay.
world. I'm not really interested in letting me know that the mortgage rate went up. Who cares? To me, that's not of any value. That is not of any value. What the value is do me a quick 15, 20-second video saying that the rate went up and how this impacts me as an individual or as an organization or as perhaps the community or the province. Give some valued information within 15, 20 seconds. Here's the call to action. Have them link on to a long article that you've written or a long post that you've written that they can read more about the interest rate hike and more of their reason behind it. That's where I would find value.
Interesting. Okay, so that's the gray area that people really need to be educated on. And within the software, I'm sure the software that you would recommend or train on would also manage that 2-year span for the implied consent.
Yeah, good point. When you are looking at software, make sure that email service provider software is compliant with the Canada anti-spam legislation. Some of these software pieces that are originating from the United States, they aren't aware, even to this day, almost coming to 10 years, are not aware of the Canada anti-spam legislation. They're going off of their anti-spam legislation in the United States. Well, that doesn't apply. That does
Yeah.
not apply. If you are doing any communication in Canada across the country, Canada anti-spam legislation applies. That includes organizations that are based in the United States. So please be aware that that software shall meet the Canada anti-spam legislation
Yeah.
requirements. And guess what? If you're going to know right away. If you don't know, reach out to the software company, and if they give the old, I'm not sure what you're speaking about, that's a massive red flag to then abort.
That is a great tip. People may not even realize to research that, eh?
Yes.
So let's go doom and gloom and really bum people out now. So what is something like on a severity end of what can happen if you actually what are the penalties?
It starts at $10 million. And if you go online and Google Canada anti-spam penalties or organizations that had complaints against them with Canada anti-spam legislation, you'd be shocked to see the big brand name companies that have been fined for the last now coming to 10 years. I'm talking in the millions. This is not a $1,000 fine. This is in the millions of dollars fine. So be aware that this is this is nothing lightly. And it really takes that one individual or even an organization to have a complaint, one of them to have a complaint against them. And complaints they're very easy to do. It's not that difficult to go in and write your case and away you go. And then it triggers a file. So,
Yeah.
again, we'll go back to the beginning of the conversation. You don't want to be that person and you don't want to be that organization. It's just like other elements. Invest time, energy, and people to really focus in on making sure you're compliant. But I also, Kim,
Where do the individual fines start at?
um, I don't know the answer to the individual fines. I just know that there is a baseline of 10 million. But again, I would imagine will base it all on the case that you're dealing with. So
Yeah.
I would just say, let's not even think about that. Let's try to avoid as much as we can by people like yourself, Kim, to educate and help teams to avoid that conversation and to understand the messaging that's behind it.
You just don't want to have to go through it, right?
No, no,
Just when it's so easy to learn.
yes, very easy.
So that's amazing for the awareness, and you're the guru of CASL. What else have you been up to, and what does your future look like? So bring us up to date on Javed.
Yeah, we talked about some digital marketing. One of the things that we really need to understand, and I mentioned this to you, Kim, in one of our conversations, is that digital marketing, and everyone's talking about this whole digital marketing. What's my digital marketing plan and strategy? I'm not finding, for me, I'm finding digital marketing is becoming digital, basically digital pollution. There's a lot of electronic stuff coming into our inboxes, our text messaging, all that stuff. So I've been finding for the last five or at least 8 years now, video messaging, personalized video messaging is something that is really becoming more and more of a powerful tool. I've been saying for many, many years, the power of video is it's coming, and now you see many organizations and many individuals doing personal video. So I'm doing these personal videos using this software. You mentioned them, BombBomb, who's based in the United States. So I'm using this software on a regular. I do probably about 10 to 15 personalized video messaging to individuals. Everything from people who are sending me text messages, I send them a video message back. If you link with me on LinkedIn, I send you a personal video message back. So I'm finding that's becoming a very strong point. So that's what I've been working on in trying to get that narrative more and more to people, is using the personal video messaging. But also, you mentioned text messaging. That's really becoming a powerful tool. People are really honing in on text messaging. And if the folks go to the Canadian Mortgage Trends website, the latest article that just launched, probably just, I don't know, a few days ago, that's all about the power of text messaging. And it talks about various key insights and best practices, but also gives you some software organizations that you may want to latch into. And the third really is just partnering up people with people like yourself and some others who are interested in me coming out and speaking and doing some educational events. I'm always open to things like that.
I love the video messaging. It's personable. It activates different sensories, but also takes away the margin of error for reading wrong context and tone, and
Right.
also getting your message and saving some keystroking, right? So you don't have the
Yes.
callous thumbs, but definitely for a longer message, that's fantastic. Because let's be honest, people don't read the terms and conditions. They don't
No.
read.
No.
People don't read.
No.
So make it fun, make it more effective. Absolutely. But here's another thing for you. And this is getting into more of a human nature factor, is people are afraid of recording, seeing themselves, hearing themselves. Do you have any advice to get over that hurdle? Because I know you mentioned you took a while to get used to it, but now you're a pro. Someone beginning, what would be your advice just to get over that fear?
One word: practice. That's it.
Practice.
Just
Yeah.
practice. Uh, the more you do, the more you practice, and be yourself. Everyone talks about, and I really am not a fan of this word authentic and authenticity. Forget that. Just be yourself. Be real. If you're going to do the ums, or you're going to look around, or you're going to forget to smile, that's okay. Re-record it. Do it again.
Yep.
Do not do any scripting. Do not memorize anything. That is not you. And people are going to, you said this, human factor, people are going to recognize, wait a minute, that's not Kim. That's not the person when I meet her. She's always smiling. She's always cracking jokes. She's not smiling, and she's very serious, and she's very scripted. That's not her. That's what I'm
Yep.
saying. It's just do that and just practice. It's okay. People like that human element. That's the cool part of this video messaging, is that it's all about the human factor. They want
Yeah.
to, if you're a broker and you're a mortgage agent, you're doing these personalized video messaging, and you're doing this as, that initial point of contact before even meeting someone, trust me, they're going to feel like they've already met you, because they've seen what you look like, how you sound. They've seen some of your mannerisms, the fact that you use your hands or you smile a lot. That's cool. They like that connectivity, and that's a stronger element for you from a sales process to then eventually, bring that person in as a potential client.
I'm always amazed when I hear my recorded voice. I'm like, I sound like that? Really? Ah,
Yeah, well, you
there's
do.
something, but I just have to get over it because other people hear me the way they hear me.
Correct.
It's me, it's the blocker, right? It's my problem. So,
Correct.
what's the best way for viewers to get in touch with you?
Best bet, just send me a LinkedIn message. My contact, I make sure everyone knows this. All my contact information is there. So if you perhaps want to connect with me, or you want to send me a text message, my direct line is there. Or you want to email me, multiple ways to connect in with me. But LinkedIn would be my core source for you all to jump in, and certainly
Beautiful.
through you, Kim. Connect in with Kim if you want to have a chat with the both of us, and perhaps there's something we can do together for your organization or you as an individual. Connect in with Kim. She's becoming the super rock star, and she's got some amazing insights. So I appreciate the
Oh,
opportunity to have
thank
this
you.
conversation, Kim.
Well, cheers to our 10 years of friendship. Cheers to your success and constant education focus. And we will connect again very soon. And I really appreciate you coming on for this series. Thank you so
Appreciate
much,
that.
Javed.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Bye.